Capital Bikeshare is the new bike sharing system in DC and Arlington. There's over 1,000 of these shared use bikes, and they're out on the streets. They're at stations just like this, and they're all over the place. So people can come up, access a bike, ride where they want to go, and dock the bike at 115 stations in DC and Arlington. So it's a new form of transportation, but it's by bike. Capital Bikeshare has been very successful so far. As we come up on our 1-year anniversary, we're almost at 1 million rides. We have 16,000 annual members, and we're now up to about 5,000 trips a day on Capital Bikeshare. We hear stories all the time about people that haven't ridden a bike since they were children and never would have considered riding a bike to get around or for transportation or to run errands. But because of the convenience and the ease of use of Capital Bikeshare, lots of these people are now enjoying riding bikes and getting around all over the place by bike. So we are expanding Capital Bikeshare in Arlington. We're adding about 30 new stations later this year, and we've identified the Roslyn to Ballston corridor as being the best area for location for bike share.
The system works best when the stations are clustered close to each other. So the Roslyn-Ballston corridor acts as a spine from which the system can grow further from there.
Lots of people work in this corridor, lots of people live in this corridor. Where there's lots of activity and lots of people, that's where you want to put the bike share stations.
Having Capital Bikeshare is a great complement to the already existing bus and metro infrastructure here in place in Arlington.
Finding good locations for Capital Bikeshare stations is actually quite hard because the stations are powered by solar panels. So they have to be outdoors. They have to be direct access to sunlight for a good portion of the day.
Enough space on the road or on the sidewalks for cars and pedestrians to get around them. So in moving forward with the expansion, county planners ended up proposing 30 different locations between Roslyn and Ballston.
We did have a public meeting on June 27th.
We had almost 50 folks from all over Arlington who were interested in learning more about the proposed locations and providing feedback of their own.
We knew there were lots of people out there that weren't able to attend the meeting and just still wanted to give their input. So we were looking for an online tool that people could access 24 hours a day.
Chris and I here at Bike Arlington had been kicking around a number of ideas for doing some sort of crowdsourcing project.
We wanted a very interactive online method where you could see other people's ideas and have a discussion and have that kind of engaging interaction.
When this project was initially discussed, Chris and Tim came to me with the need for a crowdsourcing tool leveraging social media applications. They wanted social media to be a core component as part of the promotional process.
We talked to the Mobility Lab, and they're always looking for innovative projects, and they have the technology available and the expertise available to actually make the map happen. Allow people to suggest stations and give their input and give their ideas.
They would have the ability to comment on other users' selected locations. And in addition to that, they would also be able to comment on the county's proposed locations.
Using the crowdsourcing map, it was very easy. You logged in, created your account, and you could see Bike Arlington had the proposed locations. I think the crowdsourcing map allowed people that weren't able to come to the meeting to provide their feedback, so it became kind of a mini forum for people to talk and to discuss and to provide their feedback.
The core technology in this project was the Google Maps API. It was central to the development of a mapping interface system to allow users to drop a pin on a map showing where they want their bike share location to be.
And you could very easily put your suggested sites on the map, and you could zoom in, zoom out, so you can kind of see, the area that was suggested.
They would vote on thumbs up or thumbs down. Do they like this location?
You could see the proposed bike stations that Arlington was already looking at, so you can kind of see the ideas out there, but then it was very easy to add your own suggestions as well.
And then if they wanted to give any more explanation, they would write their comment in the field made available.
You could also zoom to different areas where maybe outside the Roslyn-Ballston corridor to provide some suggestions for even future growth. I actually heard about the crowdsourcing map on many different places. I saw it posted on Facebook. I also saw it on Twitter. I also saw it in local media too.
With its help, we were able to gather more participants than we had expected.
Arlington did a great job of just promoting it to not only the bike community, but also to people that might not be so interested in biking. So I thought that was a very nice feature that they, made sure that people outside the cycling community saw it as well.
We could tell from our daily reports that the project was highly successful, or becoming highly successful. The mapping tool, the crowdsourcing tool that we've developed, will be useful in all manner of location-based public input. The code for this project is open source. The underlying code was in PHP and leveraged XML data storage components. Developers can access this project by visiting mobilitylab.org.
We had a fairly good idea that we wanted a fun, easy to use, interactive tool and actually see the trends in what the most people were asking for.
There are a couple of places that residents said that they didn't like the station location.
And then certain stations which had were suggested and gained a lot of popularity on their own, even though they didn't exist before the crowd suggested them.
Some of the other stations that we had proposed, we got a lot of support on, so we'll definitely be moving forward with those.
The crowdsourcing map was very successful. In fact, we used it for the Roslyn to Ballston corridor specifically to begin with. We've now lifted that area so that it's region-wide, and we'll continue to take input through the tool for stations in DC and Arlington and even beyond that.
I would say without a doubt this collaboration with Mobility Lab was a huge success. A++ would do again.